Hello and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. Today, representatives from the Boston Chinatown Neighborhood Center will be joining us and talk about their activities here in Quincy. First, though, we take a look at the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, a mix of sun and clouds out there. It's 50 degrees right now. About how it's going to stay today, partly cloudy into the low 50s this afternoon. Not as cold tonight as it was last night. Temperatures in the lower 40s instead of the 30s. More of the same really for tomorrow. Sun and clouds, low 50s. Gets a little damp here on Wednesday with some showers around, probably mostly in the morning. The real rain arrives on Thursday with some showers in the morning, then steady heavy rain in the afternoon on Thursday through Thursday night and early Friday morning as well, with temperatures in the upper 50s here on Thursday. Should be drying out later in the day on Friday for the trick-or-treaters. In the meantime, we have partly sunny skies and 50 degrees in Quincy right now. Checking out the news for you today, early voting continues this week for the November 4th election here in Quincy. Voters can cast ballots at City Hall today through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. This past Saturday was the last day to register to vote in the November 4th election. And tomorrow is the last day to request a mail-in ballot. City Clerk Nicole Crispo also says preparations are well underway for in-person voting a week from tomorrow.
We're working with the school department, of course, and the other facilities that we need that facilitate the polling locations on Election Day, November 4th. All the polls will be open at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. We'll be ready. Lower level of the Elks, which will be for the foreseeable future, and the post at Ward 6, Precinct 5 until Squantum Elementary School is done over.
Now, there are races for all of the ward councilor seats, except in Ward 2. There are 6 candidates for the 3 councilor at-large seats and 6 candidates for 3 school committee seats. Crispo is predicting an 18 to 20% voter turnout. More than 1 million Massachusetts residents will be losing their federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits this week if the federal government shutdown continues. SNAP benefits will stop going out on November 1st. For Massachusetts, that means a loss of $240 million a month. State Representative Tacky Chan of Quincy says the impact will be immediate on people who are struggling to pay monthly bills.
You know, right now, trying to determine people who need housing, emergency shelter housing is a state program, but not a federal program. But a lot of homeless shelter programs actually have a federal component too. And they're already looking at the barrel of potential budget cuts, and more people being on the streets than ever. You're going to start noticing this if these budget cuts continue at the federal level and we can't backfill. And it's going to be children's and women are going to be out there more than I think you're going to realize if the state can't figure out a way to backfill. And not like I'm, again, promoting you to spend your hard-earned dollars, but if you have a local organization, doesn't matter what it is, that provides services to people, I very much encourage people to, you got a couple of dollars in your pocket you can spare. Think about an organization, whether it be a church, a faith organization or not-for-profit.
This past Friday, Governor Healey said the state cannot make up the difference and also warned that Massachusetts could also lose another $200 million a month in federal Medicaid reimbursements, impacting people on Mass Health. The governor said 32% of people using SNAP benefits are children, 31% are disabled, and 26% are seniors. The Woodward School for Girls here in Quincy recently raised over $300,000 during their annual Women of Distinction ceremony. Quincy Veteran Services Director Christine Cugini, Marcy Goldberg Bracken, the co-owner of Pink Chair Storytellers magazine, and Pamela Everhart from Fidelity Investments were all honored during the events, which also included an auction. There were classic cars provided by local car enthusiast Dean Saluti, and also catering by the JP Fuji Group of Quincy. Now, the event itself raised $190,000, and that qualified it for a matching grant of $100,000 from the E.E. Ford Foundation of New York, for a grand total of over $300,000. Those funds are used to provide financial aid to students. State Senator John Keenan of Quincy also presented the award recipients with a State House citation. Now, the Quincy 400 celebration continues this week with a special presentation on national security. Retired Quincy native General Joseph Dunford, Congressman Stephen Lynch, and business leader Jonathan Hurdle will all speak this coming Thursday at 5:30 at Quincy High School. The event will follow the 290th birthday anniversary celebration for President John Adams at the United First Parish Church at noontime. Now, the symposium will focus on national security from the American Revolution to present day. Dr. Kirk Graham of the Adams Presidential Center will moderate the discussion, which is free and open to the public. However, seats must be reserved. Just go to theadamspresidentialcenter.org. Over 200 South Shore youngsters will be wearing costumes donated to the Interfaith Social Services of Quincy Halloween program when they're out trick-or-treating this coming Friday night. Interfaith's annual Halloween costume drive being called a big success again this year, as children recently visited to pick out their costumes. Dozens of volunteers sorted, distributed those costumes that were donated by individuals and businesses. Stop and Shop also donated 400 pumpkins for the costume event as well. Interfaith's Executive Director, Rick Doan, said the Halloween costume drive helps families who are struggling with everyday expenses by relieving the financial burden of having to buy costumes. It is one of several seasonal initiatives run by Interfaith. It also includes a bunny basket drive in the spring, a backpack drive for the new school year, and a holiday gift program. It's our check of news for you today. Coming up, we learn about the Boston Chinatown Neighborhood Center and their expansion here in Quincy. That's next. Welcome back. The Boston Chinatown Neighborhood Center has been around for 50-plus years and has been here in Quincy for 10-plus years. And I'm just learning about them now, so maybe you are too. So welcome to the CEO, Ben Hires, and also Bartholomew Jae is here from the board. Gentlemen, thank you both for being on the program. Appreciate the opportunity.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Ben, as I mentioned, 50 years in existence, 10 here in Quincy, and first time here currently in Quincy, so let's not make it the last.
Definitely.
Tell me a little bit about the center itself, how it got founded.
Sure. BCNC, or Boston Chinatown Neighborhood Center, has been around since 1969. Wow. I think we have a pretty exciting, interesting story from our founding. And the story is about that in Boston there was a community center, Josiah Quincy Community Center, that was being built. And there was going to be a healthcare center and an elementary school. But it turns out that there wasn't a lot of community engagement in this community center, or community input. And so some like first generation Chinatown immigrant college students kind of knew what was going on, and they went back to their community and their families and said, hey, there's this development happening. I think we should get involved and participate in what's going on right in our backyard. So that's really the origin story, and it was actually in addition to Chinese immigrant families in Chinatown, there were Puerto Rican families from the South End, African American families, white families, all living in that neighborhood. So it was really like a multiracial coalition. And after there was that engagement, the community kind of realized, like, hey, like we have a voice here.
Yes.
And we also know what we need for our families and for our community to be better. So our oldest program, which actually just celebrated last year 50 years, is our child care center. So that was the first program that kind of evolved out of this group of families coming together and say, hey, what can we do to make our community better?
Yeah. So was it a case of leaders at that time just really not connecting with the community, just kind of going out on their own?
Well, I think, much like we sometimes might feel today, is that sometimes, people think they know better for a community or a city or whatnot, and, maybe, intentionally or unintentionally just overlook that step of, getting the voices of the people who are going to be impacted or affected by what's going on.
Well, it's a great example of community engagement, right, and proactive speaking out on your own behalf. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then since then, we've had programs. So as the kids get older, you need another program.
That's right.
So you've got the preschool program, and then we have now an after-school program and a summer program. So when the kids are out of school, we have a teen leadership and a teen access program. Then we have programs for adults who are immigrant adults who are trying to learn English as well as pursue jobs here. And we have a program called Family Services, so that provides a whole range of programs, but really centered on helping parents and families acclimate to their new home here, get connected to resources, and then just manage, challenges that any family might be going through.
Yeah.
And we have what's called the PAL Art Center, which is a partnership with Bunker Hill Community College and BCNC. That also has a really amazing origin story. And right now in Quincy, we have 3 of our programs, which is our youth program for teens, our adult education programs that teach English, and then our family services.
And those aren't, you've been, like I said, in Quincy, what, 10 years?
Yeah, I was reflecting earlier that one of the first places that we officially kind of had places to teach English was at an Eastern Nazarene Church classrooms.
Okay.
But yeah, we've had location in North Quincy, and then we kind of got bigger there, where we're over top of the McDonald's there.
Okay. Yep.
And then we renovated a space in Quincy Center, which was really important just because we're close to public transportation and center of Quincy, and so we've been there probably for about a little over 6 years, and still expanding.
I was going to say, looking for more space, right?
Yeah. We are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The center itself is a nonprofit 501c3 corporation, so we should mention that. And you were relatively new, right, yourself?
Yeah, I look young for 50 years, but I've been part of BCNC as CEO for a little over 5 years.
Okay.
I started at the beginning of the pandemic, so a very interesting time to take this leadership role. So since June 2020, I started, and when I began, myself and all of our staff were all remote. And I remember that time during COVID obviously was very intense, and I mentioned our childcare program, and we have probably 30 plus amazing early education teachers and staff, and they were one of the first groups of our staff, let alone first groups of staff across the city that went back in person. And we're providing childcare for first responders and grocery store workers and police officers, et cetera.
People that had to work in person.
But they had to work in person. There's not, I think maybe many parents may like this or not like this. There's not really a virtual childcare program out there.
Right. Yeah, it's called a television. Unfortunately, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But not for younger kids, certainly. Yeah. So that was a challenge. What was your path to that position?
Sure. Previously, right before joining BCNC, I worked for the Boston Public Library.
Oh, okay.
I was the director of strategic partnerships and worked with the president of the Boston Public Library, looking at how to support the library's programs, also making connections with other educational and cultural and arts institutions. And as many people may or may not know, it was new for me, I was actually a city employee. So it was really incredible for me to kind of get that inside look about how city government works. And the library is a really amazing institution. Boston and in Massachusetts was the first place for a public library system. So a lot of great history and heritage, and like BCNC, really important free programs for people.
Yes. What is the funding sources for BCNC?
We're fortunate to have really a diversified mix of funding. One of our biggest areas of funding is government support and contracts. So like our child care program, we work with the Early Education and Care Department For our adult education programs, we work with DESE. Then, like many nonprofits, we're really fortunate to have a lot of generous individual donors,
Yes.
as well as, foundations and corporate supporters.
Sure, very good. And you have an active board.
We do.
Of which BJ is a proud member and a Quincy resident too, right?
Yeah.
BJ?
That's right. Yeah, I tend to introduce myself as a bit of a townie. I grew up here in the Wollaston area,
Yes.
just as that picture shows, and immigrated from Hong Kong to here in 1982. And so I've been in Quincy for 43 plus years, and I still live here with my family, 2 children at Central Middle School, and I work in Quincy as well on my day job at the NFPA.
Oh, okay.
And so it's been a great adventure to watch how Quincy has changed over those 40 plus years.
Yes.
And how the demographic significantly has changed towards more and more Asian immigrants. And
Certainly,
so that
yes.
really got me interested in BCNC.
Yeah, I think the last census in 2020 it was 36%. It's probably higher than that now, I would think.
Yeah, and when I was in Central myself, there was a handful of kids like myself that went to English as a second language class.
Mm-hmm.
When I graduated from Boston College High School, I was the only Chinese kid in my class.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah. Tacky was a year younger than me.
Oh, okay.
So he was in the grade below me.
Oh,
but
he'll be
I
happy
was-
to hear that.
Yeah, and so we've known each other since high school.
Sure.
But yeah, it's the way I talk about it. If you know New York, I talk about Quincy as if it was like Flushing, New York, where there is a Chinatown, but Flushing has a bigger Chinese population
Sure.
than Chinatown. Quincy is similar in the fact that we are much bigger geographically, and so there's a lot more Asians here,
Sure.
and they're more centrally located from Wollaston to North Quincy. Do you know why?
No,
There's an interesting reason for that.
do tell.
Do you remember when we paid for tokens to take the
To ride the T, sure. Yeah.
Where did the tokens go from 1 token to 2 tokens?
Oh, I don't know.
Quincy Center.
Oh, interesting.
And
Okay.
so, people, when they were immigrating into Quincy,
Yeah.
they wanted to stay in that area before the next token is needed to ride the train.
Ah, so it was a financial issue.
It's always a financial issue.
Interesting.
That's right.
Tell me about your path to BCNC.
Yeah, so I was leading a local chapter of an organization called Ascend Leadership. And they're North America's largest organization focused on developing Asian professionals and leaders. We were looking for a community organization to support and help, and so we kind of reached out to BCNC and did something together.
I see.
And that's when BCNC and I got to know each other, and that was a time when they had just started their presence in Quincy. Me being a Quincy resident, they said, "Hey, would you join the Quincy Leadership Council
Okay.
within BCNC, which is a bunch of local leaders who either live in Quincy or very close by in the South Shore area, who help to think about what we should be doing in Quincy and how we should be doing it." And so I got involved there, and then once Ben got hired, for some reason somebody said, "Well, that guy's been around for a while, maybe we should think about adding him to the board."
Ah.
And so that's when I joined the board shortly after Ben became the CEO. And then now I am one of the co-chairs of the Quincy Leadership Council as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And for me, it's an important step because I've done a lot for professional development for the Pan-Asian community. And I had reached a point in my life where I said community matters too. And so this was a great way for me to switch where my focus was with my extracurricular activities. And having grown up here and having seen what it takes to thrive as an immigrant, I felt that the mission of the organization made a lot of sense.
okay. And has it been rewarding for you? Has it been fulfilling?
It has.
Yeah.
So listening to the stories of the children that once upon a time were in the daycare
Yes.
and now are lawyers,
Yes.
and thinking fondly back to the programs that they participated
Yes.
with BCNC.
I would think, yeah.
That is just
a full circle moment.
I'm
right?
getting
Right.
goosebumps as I
Yeah.
talk about it, right? And then what we also do a lot during board meetings is we actually share success stories of the recent graduate from programs and stuff. And it's always, we call them impact stories. And it's always amazing to hear how much the participants of our programs get out of what we're doing.
Yes.
This is amazing.
A teacher probably experiences that same feeling, right?
Oh,
when
yeah,
they see a
absolutely.
student thrive in adult life, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But you're involved particularly with youth groups, and the high school youth groups?
No, I'm on the board.
Right.
And the
right.
Quincy Leadership Council, which is, again, the local
Yes.
group of leaders. But we do have youth groups. I have not been participating with them
Okay.
lately,
All right.
but we have a very strong youth group with both North Quincy and Quincy high school students.
I'd be curious to hear about that, Ben. Maybe
Yeah.
you could tell us about that.
Yeah, we have a youth program that has two focus areas. One is for college access, and then post-secondary success.
Okay.
So helping young people think about what their next step is after high school if it's not directly college. And that's a mentor-based program. So we work with people like from Ascend or other people who are young professionals who may have had, you kind of heard this immigrant journey themselves and want to give back. So they are paired with in most cases, a first-generation young person. So maybe their parents didn't go to college or didn't go to college in the U.S. And so, as you probably may remember, the process can be complicated. You're applying for financial aid. You're trying to figure out what you want to study. You may need to get your grades up your junior year. So we have a mentor who's paired with a junior and stays with them for 2 years.
Okay.
Gets them ready. We run workshops and help support them in their junior year to get ready to apply for college in their senior year. And then let's see, we're getting into that season, right, where people are
Certainly.
starting to think about
Yeah.
that. And then we've been very fortunate to have a lot of amazing celebrations with these young people as they move on to their college plans. Then the second area of our program is it's called You Lead, and it's a youth leadership program. And it's a partnership with the Department of Public Health Office of Problem Gambling Services.
Okay.
And the whole idea is that, whether it's gambling or addiction or other challenges that are facing young people today, what they really need is supportive relationships with each other, with adults, and opportunities to do good work and grow in their own leadership. So that program, we have about 25 students in each program, but we have a waiting list. I was telling BJ earlier that we're trying to really get folks off of the waiting list, and we have a space in our main office on Hancock Street that's dedicated just for our youth. And then some of the time they go into North Quincy High School and they do programming there too.
Okay, all right.
So it's, young people keep us young, right? And it's always exciting to see what their interests are, how we can help them, and then, see them into the future.
So you need more mentors, it sounds like, to cut down that waiting list. Right?
We're always looking for great mentors, looking for opportunities. Like you were mentioning that, potentially we could have our young people come here down
Yes.
to Quincy Access TV
Yes.
and learn about the studio.
Certainly.
And I'm sure some of them would have really great interest in that.
Absolutely. We'd be happy to have them as well. I'm curious, I don't want to run out of time before we talk about your plans to expand mental health counseling.
Yeah, one of our big priorities for our organization, strategic priorities, is the mental health of the Asian community. And certainly coming out of COVID the last couple of years, we've seen the huge increase in the needs, whether it's anti-Asian hate that was happening, whether it's, multi-generational family conflict, whether it's a young child who's, dealing with some sort of issue. And so we've prioritized to address that. And, like mental health across the whole United States, there's just not enough access. There's just not enough providers. There are not enough counselors with the expertise. And in the instance of the Asian community, language access and cultural competency is really, really important. So we are opening a mental health clinic, and it'll be a Department of Public Health licensed clinic. We just hired an amazing clinical director, and so we're going through the process of getting credentialed, and we really will serve children, families, adults, multi-generational families, et cetera.
Here in Quincy?
Right here in Quincy. We're going to be right here in Quincy Center at 1150 Hancock. We're in the final phases of kind of getting the clinic all shined up, and hopefully it'll be open the next year.
Next year or so. Okay, very good. Speaking of events, so you just came off a pretty successful event, right? The Family Fun Run, BJ? Yeah,
Yeah,
You're
right up
smiling.
in Pageant Field.
Yeah, how did it go?
It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, again, the weather, right?
Right, it was
It
perfect,
was
yeah.
perfect for running or walking. I don't run. But even walking, it felt great because, you're hot, but it's cool outside. And we had probably the most people we've ever had by multiplying by 2.
We had over 250
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
people from children to families come.
We've had this event for multiple years, and between last year and this year, it doubled in
Nice.
size of participation.
Nice.
So it was great, and we had a lot of folks who kind of supported us with gift cards and silent auction items as well. So, and there was
had the
massage
Parker-
and stretching going on.
We had that, and then we had the Parker School. Francis Parker School has a run club.
Yeah.
And this was their kind of culminating, fall activity.
Okay.
And for a lot of those kids, it was their first 5K.
Very good.
So it was a great community day.
Nice.
Great weather, and get a little exercise.
Excellent. You have, I know, a big event every spring, summer as well, right? That folks
Yes.
should check out.
We do a family fun fair,
Yes.
and that brings thousands of people.
At the Atlantic School.
Yes.
Yeah.
BCNC.net. Great place to go for more information, right? We'll have you both back if that's okay. We'd love to have you
Love
back.
to.
On a
Be
regular
wonderful.
basis.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Just enough time to check the forecast for you. Speaking of the weather, for the rest of the day today, kind of what you see is what you get out there. Sun and clouds, low 50s. Tonight, lower 40s, more of the same tomorrow. Wednesday, we start to turn gray and damp with some off and on showers. Thursday is our stormy day with wind and rain, and highs in the upper 50s, hopefully clearing out for Friday. Thanks again to Ben Hires, BJ, for joining us here on the program.
Thank
Thank you for having us.
Thanks to our crew. Thank you for watching. Friday here in the show, folks from the Neponset River Watershed stopping by to provide us an update. Meantime, you can check our website anytime. It's qatv.org. And all of our latest programs are there. There is news and information, video on demand, live streaming, and much more. For all of us here at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a great week.